I'm sitting here with Brother Red Pill and Dr. Wesley Muhammad after an amazing event, and we just want to chop it up a little bit.
It was a great event.
Amazing event. Amazing.
Good energy.
Amazing job. My first question is, if I was an 11 to 15-year-old male or female, what kind of advice or information would you give them as it pertains to hip-hop music and how it affects people?
Music is never just music. I would disabuse my 11, 12, 13-year-old of that myth. The grown folks are victimized by the myth that music is simply music. It never is. So music, from the beat, the rhythm, to the lyrics, affects your mind, affects your body, affects your biochemistry, son, daughter. And so we have to be careful, because I have a young teenager that's seeking to get into it. Have to be careful, not just with what type of music we produce for others to listen to and be affected by, but we have to be careful with what music we listen to and are affected by.
That's a fact. I would advise them to not be impressionable or as impressionable as they've been. I would point to the laundry list of, examples and case studies of why this stuff doesn't work in the long run. People who are on top, who basically are singing the same sentiments about being ripped off, robbed because of their lack of knowledge, regretting the input, regretting the spirit that they sold for the fiat. Because I'm telling you, the spirit that's the real money, and they're paying you in some pieces of paper. This could be toilet paper one day. It's not a good trade-off. So the youth will look at all of these money phones and people flashing the fiat, and I'm like, fam, that was the price for pieces of their soul that continuously is being sold. Don't get impressed by the fiat. They could not hold up no gold. You know what I mean? Because gold, we are attracted to what it is that, we magnetize to ourselves. So yeah, Dope Boy is gonna get money because he's magnetizing himself to fiat, some fake, non-backed, not real, illusionary pieces of paper.
So tell me this, I don't like to have black folks focus too much on politics if they don't have economic understanding, and once you get economics, you can literally buy or make your politicians. I ask that because is it possible for us to create or make our musicians, right? So we obviously know that certain people will back a certain kind of artist, but is it a way that we can actually fund, create, and put forth the kind of music people that our people need?
I wasn't gonna say this in front of the family, but there's something called click farms. We have to get into the business of propaganda, or propagandizing what it is that we want to achieve. There's something called click farms. So an artist could come out right now, and with a small investment through a click farm, we could shoot their numbers up to make them look more important than they really are. What do you think happened at YouTube when Liar Cohen took over the helms? All of the trap rappers blew up. The Migos, they started doing astronomical numbers. Why? Because he was manipulating the numbers. You know what I'm saying? And this is a numbers-driven game. Once they took the music industry and made it all digital. Digital infers numbers, right? It's about who's following you, how many likes, all of these number, basic, metric-driven things. So there's something called a Little Pump plan. It's a 10-step plan that the managers of Little Pump created, where you can make a little pump. So I don't have, at this point in the war, at this point in the game, all gloves are off. I don't have the kind of, I'm not gonna utilize, no, get them numbers up by any means necessary. And then begin to utilize your influence on the rappers who reach out for help, because they reach out to me a lot. And I know others who they reach out to. You gotta, for a favor. You're calling me because, you've been possessed by the devil. Well, no problem. I'm gonna need you to do something for this artist. Do a hook. Stand next to him. You know, so we got to get into the art of propagandizing what it is that we are doing, because they're doing that at a fast pace.
Yeah. So hip hop, I once described it as a beautiful black stallion. And with God riding this beautiful black stallion, because the two things we can say as a matter of scientific fact that we know about God, regardless of religion, is one, God is a mathematician, two, God is a musician.
Yeah.
Study of the creation proves that about God, whatever you call it. So, God as a musician, he's the power at the root of the power of music. And so God, as the rider of this beautiful black stallion hip hop, can transform humanity from niggas into God. That's the power of hip hop. But our enemy is at the saddle of hip hop. So, to answer your question, there is no redemption except we get the enemy off of the saddle of this beautiful black stallion. Unless we take control of hip hop again, we would either, unless we get control of it, if we don't get control of it, we have to cut it loose. We have to let it go. Because that horse with enemy as the rider is death to black people.
That's a fact.
And if we don't succeed in getting him off that horse, we got to kill the horse. But we can get him off the horse. We can take control of the music again. But to his important point, we have to be in a position to make the artists the offers they can't refuse.
That's right.
Because the labels are making them offers they
Big
can't
offers.
refuse. Just one example, we're putting out not close. Even though Frank Ocean is not a rapper, but when they talk about the queering of hip hop, they start with Frank Ocean. He wrote this song of his love interest with a man. He's one of the first to come out like that. We know the history of Frank Ocean. Barry Weiss, the same one who Too Short tells the Jew, the same of Jive Records, who is responsible for Too Short going from the Mac to the porno rapper. That was Barry Weiss. He was following the dictates of Barry Weiss. So Barry Weiss said he ain't never heard, having never heard any music from Frank Ocean. Never heard any music. But there was something he knew about Frank Ocean. He called that man to his office and wrote him a $1 million check, having never heard any Frank Ocean music. He wrote him a $1 million check, and the next thing we know, we got Frank Ocean singing about his male love interest. And now crowned as the first of the queers of hip hop. So that the labels make these people, these artists, offers they feel they can't refuse. Frank Ocean felt he couldn't refuse that $1 million check. I do not believe Lil Nas X is gay. I absolutely do not believe. Lil Nas X said he was, while he had the hottest song in the world, he's broke, sleeping on his sister's couch, hungry, depressed. So I believe Rob Stringer, Doug Morris's lieutenant, through his immediate, I think Rob Perry, they called that young man in and said, if you come out as gay on the last day of gay pride, your career will blow up. And what happened? First, when he was heterosexual, he was kicked off of the country charts.
That's right.
Now, he's the highest paid country artist.
Are you serious?
The highest paid country artist. The gay Lil Nas X, so his career is booming. So I say all that to say, we have to be muscular in taking hip hop back muscular in making these artists offers they can't refuse, and we got the power to do so. But we have to stop being hip hop fans and be hip hop owners again.
So Whack 100 is one of my colleagues who's friends with him is saying that he is somewhat being a troll by saying these bogus things. This person is not a legend and blah, blah, blah. So I want to kind of twofold this question, and I don't suspect...
Man, I'll be pleased with Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah. I don't want to put anybody in a position to say something about somebody that they might not want to lose a relationship with, but I don't suspect that. But Russell Simmons, when he was producing, I think in the 90s, and he wanted to make aggressive music, not the kind that Michael Jackson and Luther Vandross made, but he wanted to make aggressive music, right? What do you think about people like him? And while you're answering that question, tie in your thoughts about Biggie and Tupac and their content. Was it helpful for our community?
You know, these were gangster rappers,
Tell you
right? Who came up in that era that Wesley pointed out in this early 90s, you know, Biggie with Party and Bullshit, I think in 92. And then with the influence of Clive Davis via Puff Daddy, came to him with the offer.
Who was a gay Jew, by the way?
Who was a gay Jew. When I worked at J Records, you know what I mean? He came out and, you know, everybody in the office knew that. But he made him an offer that he couldn't refuse. Yeah. And that was to steer his image in a certain direction and, you know, just be this Mafia Don type thing. The fallout that he had with Pac was like, nigga, that's not you. I know you slept on my couch. You was mad hungry, and you know you was a more of a hardcore rapper. Now you singing for the ladies. So there was this authenticity issue that Pac was having with Big, and then Big had an authenticity issue with Pac. It was like, you're not who the fuck you say you are. You know what I mean?
Bishop.
You are that character, and that's not you. You're a thespian. You're a smart dude. You're conscious, playing hardcore. Why don't you just be yourself? So while their lyrics may have been of a certain type of frequency, once again, going back to the JuiceWorld thing, unfortunately, when we lose an artist too young, we don't get to see the maturity of the artist. We don't get to see the growth. We don't get to see the development. Biggie was on his second album. You know what I mean? Pac, he fed us a good balance of left and right, you know what I mean? But even him with the Machiavelli album and things that he was producing afterwards, he was venturing way toward, because he had the East Coast, he built up a One Nation with buckshot and all of that. That wasn't gonna be about shooting each other. That was gonna be about bringing the B's and the C's together. That was gonna be about that fist. He was picking up where Hoover left off. So they got clipped too early to even begin to completely assess, you know, what it is that they had to bring to the game. Now, their impact overall, or the negativity of the lyrics, you know, yeah, it was there, you know, it was there, but there was positivity that was mixed in with that as well. And for the people who are watching, there's a story, there's a moral of a story. They were martyred, right? And you could point that out to say, well, you know, all of that, you know, the lyrics didn't live up to the outcome.
Yeah, man, you know, I'm a Pac, while I do not claim that Pac is the greatest lyricist of all time, he's my favorite. And when I say that, I have to acknowledge a guilty pleasure of mine, and it's guilty, and it should be. And that's Hit 'Em Up. Hit 'Em Up is a guilty pleasure because though sonically I love it, culturally that was a horrendous song.
Oh man, it was a shifter.
It was culturally horrendous. As a fan, a true blue fan of Pac. But You know, Pop was a Gemini, June Gemini. I'm a June Gemini. So that conflict resident, I understand it. But I say that to say I cannot extract my favorite artist, Pop, from the process of the weaponization of hip hop any more than I can extract my favorite hip hop event, Chronic, from its role in the weaponization of hip hop. With Biggie, well, I also love, I have a piece, you know, the history of the origin of Little Kim. That's a very important story when we talk about porn rap.
That's right.
And Biggie's role and Un Rivera's role, but above them, Julie Greenwald and Atlantic Records is really the origin of the porn rap that Little Kim innovated. And so, but Biggie's role in that, Un Rivera's, so no, man. And so because of that, we got a lot of wannabe Little Kims. Now they're Nicki Minaj's, Cardi B's, Megan Thee Stallions, but
they come from
it goes
that
back
seed.
to that.
That seed.
So the reason I close on this point, people, and Rep Hill made the great point, people want me, I'm sure he gets it too, to stop saying weaponization of hip hop, say weaponization of rap. No, I'm not. Because what I'm saying isn't limited to the lyrics of the MC. If the effect of the lyrics of the MC stayed in the lyrics of the MC, then I would say the weaponization of hip hop. But the lyrics of the MC, the beats of the producer, all of that has shaped the culture. So it's the culture that's being weaponized, and you weaponize the culture of hip hop in order to do damage to black culture. So Big and Pac, as much as I love them, they played their role. Unbeknownst to them, they played their role in that. Biggie is a gangster rapper. Folks want to restrict gangster rap to LA. As if Wu-Tang, and I'm saying this as if Raekwon the chef is a chef because he's cooking spaghetti. Peace, man. Peace.
All right.